Hi, my name is Johnson Oroyemi, and I will be your online consulting lecturer. I'll be taking you from one consulting course to another. I mean, starting from construction economics to professional practice and procedure, construction management, and some other consulting course. But today, we will be starting with construction economics, and we do a little bit introduction before we go into some topics. We look into some topics under construction economics. First of all, let me start with economics. Someone might wonder why construction economics, or what's the concept behind construction economics. Um, Quantity surveying being a profession where we manage the cost of construction work. Economics, the knowledge of economics is essential, then the application of the principle of economics is quite crucial to the role that quantity surveyor plays in construction industry. So let's look at a few things about economics. Economics is essentially about choice of the way in which scarce resources ought to be used and be allocated between their possible uses. Now, looking at construction industry, you know that clients' resources, or let me say, fund is limited. Therefore, as a quantity surveyor, you need to know how to manage the limited resources of your clients. Before I go forward, you'll be seeing me on this platform. I'll be uploading video on lectures once in a week. If I have enough time, I can make it twice in a week. But that's that on the regarding the time you will be seeing. You can check on my channel that to see if any new video has been uploaded. So basically, every Saturday you can come online here and actually we learn one or two things together. So let's look into the nature of construction industry wherein a quantity surveyor work. When we talk about industry in general, industry simply means a group of related economic activities classified according to the type of goods produced. So when we talk about construction industry now, that means that we are talking about group of related activities which at the end of the day will bring about products of construction industry. Now, let me talk about products. What are the products of construction industry? When we talk about products of construction industry, we talk about buildings. But the product of construction industry is not only limited to building. We also consider road, because road is also product of construction industry, bridges, dams, civil engineering works. We can also then some other heavy engineering works too. So it is also essential that I say here that the product of construction industry or construction industry is not only about new buildings, new projects. So repairs and maintenance of construction, even demolition of construction products is also part of the activities in construction industry. Construction industry are characterized by various features such as complex unique work. Construction projects can also be capital intensive. Then it is also worthy of note that that construction projects are one of. No two projects are identical. And even construction project that seems to have the same prototype, the characteristics of location make them unidentical. So that's all about construction industry for now, and from there we move straight away to the real topics as far as economics is concerned. And for today, we'll be looking at some definitions of terms, and not just term per se, because they also they are actually process by which a quantity surveyor brings about the practice of construction economics on a construction project. So we've talked about general information, the introduction to the course, where we look into what economics means and the application as far as construction industry is concerned. Then straight away we go to quantity survey, QS as a construction cost economics and manager, and the procedure that he uses in actually bringing about economics as far as construction project is concerned. So let's go straight away to cost control now. So if I may say, one of the I actually like this topic, not only because it shows us how to bring about economics, the practice of economics on a construction project, but the fact that some of these terms you see here are actually misunderstood when it comes to construction economics, are actually misunderstood. So here we have cost control, cost planning, cost monitoring, cost reconciliation. Then under cost planning, we have the word cost limits, cost plan, and cost targets. So we'll be looking at each definition of these terms and how it is applicable to the role that quantity surveyor plays in construction industry. So let me start with cost control. Cost control are method of controlling the cost of construction projects within predetermined limits from the inception of a project all through to completion. I come again. Cost control are all methods of controlling cost of construction projects within a predetermined limit from inception all through to completion. Now, let me do a little bit of some explanation there. I believe you are familiar with what we call, maybe by understanding of, by your knowledge of project management, you are familiar with what we call life cycle of a project. And the life cycle of the project are the following. We have the initiation, the project initiation. We have the planning, the project initiation, the planning. I wish I can write it there. Let me just do a little bit of that here. So, project life cycle. So we have initiation, we have planning, we have execution, then monitoring and controlling, Then finally we have handing over, or what we call project close out. So handing over and close out. So that's life cycle of a project as far as coming from project management perspective. But there is also another way by which we can categorize project life cycle, and this time around it is called stages of construction projects. Although it's limited to building works because it is actually propounded by Royal Institute of British Architects. So we call them in acronym RIBA. So Royal Institute of British Architects. Actually, we have, and I believe by the end of this course, I should be able to, by the time end of this course, I should be able to provide you with documents latest by the time I will upload the next class that we'll be having. So you should be able to get some of these small write-up on things we've discussed today. Back to what I'm saying, Royal Institute of British Architects come up with what we call plan of work as against what we have here. So we have plan of work, and we have they've come up with different different years. We have Royal Institute of British. We have plan of work. That's of 1998. We have 1998. We have 2007. we have 2013, and I think we have 2016, although I only know much about this for now. Well, would I say, maybe I would say the resources on this is not yet available, but at least I know up to this stage. So they come up with that plan of work, and it breaks down the stages of construction projects starting from inception. This time around, inception could be likened to what in project management could be referred to as initiation. So it started from inception. That's according to plan of work, RIBA plan of work 1998. So we have inception, we have feasibility study, which is the second stage. So we have outline proposal. Then after outline proposal, we have scheme design, we have detailed design, we have production information. Next is bill of quantity, that's another stage. Then another one is tender action, project planning, operations on site, completion, and feedback. So that's according to 1998 plan of work. Now, but over time, they come up with another. It was modified, and so as far as 2013 is concerned, we have 7 stages. We have 7 stages, and it starts from strategic definition, which could also, which is a stage whereby the clients identify the need for a project and call for architects. Then the next stage is preparation and brief. That's according to, once again, according to RIBA Plan of Work 2013, preparation and brief. Considering strategic definition, which is the first stage, and also preparation and brief, so if the two of them can be considered to be under initiation, if we are looking at project management, the life cycle according to project management. So, but the next stage, according to RIBA Plan of Work 2013, after the preparation and brief, I started with strategic definition, then preparation and brief. The next one is concept design. Then it is followed by, I will define those times as it goes on in relation to the cost control procedure. So the next one is, after concept design, is develop design, which is the fourth stage. The fourth one is technical design. The fifth one, rather, is technical design. The next one is construction, while the seventh one is handover and closeout, and the eighth one is in use. Now, if you look at it, when I started, I said RIBA Plan of Work is modified into 7 stages. 7 stages that I mean here started from 0. So therefore, ultimately it is 8 stages, but it is numbered from 0 to 7. Are we getting my point? Now, these 8 stages, if we count from 0 stage, is actually summarized into 5. Meaning that we are coming to something related to what we have in project management. So it is summarized into 5. We have the preparation stage. Secondly, we have the design stage. Like I said, don't worry, I'm going to make the materials available to you. So it could be categorized into 5. The RIBA Plan of Work 2013, it could be classified into 5 stages. The preparation stage, the design, pre-construction, construction, and use. So those are the 5 stages. So it's somehow like it was also, niched down to 5 stages of project life cycle that we have in project management. Now, why am I talking about these stages is that these stages, one of the things that RIBA, Royal Institute of British Architects, try to achieve by giving these stages of work, plan of work, is actually to be able to state the activities that goes along each stage. And one of the things they try as much as possible to do is actually to specify the role of each professional. What each professional should do, the people that are responsible at each stage. And as a result, I will niche down to the role of quantity surveyor as far as the stages of work is concerned. And like I said, if you don't forget, cost control, I said, is all method of controlling construction project within a predetermined limit from inception of a project all through to completion. Now, and we've talked about the stages of construction, whether when you look at it in the light of project management or when you look at it in the light of Royal Institute of British Architects plan of work, RIBA plan of work. So we've talked about the stages of construction work. Now, and we said cost control is actually all method of controlling cost. Now, let's look at the method of controlling cost in the light of stages of construction projects. We start with cost planning. Like I said, that some of it time actually are misunderstood. People can't differentiate which one comes first, which one are getting it. They just model everything together. But before we go forward, let me say this clearly to us. So by the time I explain further, you will understand what I mean. Now, if you look at, I said cost control is all method of controlling cost. Now, this therefore means that everything you could see, cost planning, cost monitoring, cost reconciliation, all falls under cost control. All falls under cost control. That is, cost planning take place is a technique, is a way of actually controlling the cost of construction projects. But cost planning take place at a certain stage of a construction project, and the stage is from brief. Or let me start, if I go by plan of work, RIBA plan of work 2013, from strategic definition all through to tender stage. That is from preparation to design and also to pre-construction. From preparation, once again, so like I classified the RIBA plan of work, these 8 stages of RIBA plan of work into 5 stages. I said we have preparation, design, pre-construction, construction, and use. So, cost planning takes place from preparation all through to pre-construction. That is, from strategic definition all through to technical design. That's when we have cost planning. Now, cost monitoring takes place the same way we have monitoring and controlling under life cycle of projects. If we are looking at it in the light of project management, cost monitoring takes place as soon as the execution of the project commences on site. Cost monitoring will take place. Then, finally, cost reconciliation takes place immediately. Let me say also during construction in projects, during the execution of construction project, but much more also at the completion of the construction project. So it takes place as during construction projects as well as, but let me say much more during project closeout. So that's all about cost control, cost planning, cost monitoring, and cost reconciliation. But today, before we round up, because our time is a little bit fast spent, before we round up, I'm going to niche down for today to cost planning. So back to cost planning, like I said, cost control is like a superset. I mean the main heading for the process of actually controlling cost of a construction project. So, but under cost control, we have cost planning, we have cost monitoring, we have cost reconciliation, and under cost planning, we have some definition of terms like cost plan, cost limit, cost targets. Are you getting the point now? So, cost planning, like I said, is the process of controlling cost of a construction project up to tender stage. So, therefore, if you look at going by RIBA plan of work 1998, we start from inception, feasibility, outline proposal, scheme design, detailed design, production information, bill of quantity, then tender action. This is where cost planning ends. This, literally speaking, this is where cost planning ends. Now, going by RIBA plan of work 2013, we have strategic definition, we have preparation and brief, concept design, develop design, then technical design.
Then thereafter we have construction, but this is where it ends. This is where it ends anyway. This is where cost planning end. Although there's supposed to be some activities within before we can't jump to construction from technical design. So, but there's supposed to be so, and that's why in the classification of these stages, you see that they started with brief, like I said, then preparation rather, then design, then pre-construction. So there are some activities that falls under this one, and that's why if you look at some of the texts you've been seeing, they like to go about it by following 1998 plan of work, because it is self-explanatory. You can quickly get some without having to rack your brain. So we are going to go by it, therefore, looking at, but I will try to actually see how I can manage the two plan of work together. So going by inception. So at inception stage, the client consider his need for a project, consider his need, and actually call the architects. So that's what happened at inception stage. But at the feasibility stage is when clients we try to get an indication of how much the project is likely to cost. So to actually assess the overall visibility of the project, and this is very, very important to ensure that the professional wouldn't have enough work, start with outline, start do a lot of design. Maybe the architect has done the design before the client come to realization of the fact that he doesn't have enough fund to actually go for this kind of project. So at visibility stage, the clients will likely want to get an indication of how much the project is likely to cost. So that's where the word feasibility come to play. Then another thing we need to know at this point in time is that it is at this stage then the QS provide the first realistic estimate, which, if approved, become the authorized project budget. Let me come again. At this stage, the QS provide the first realistic estimate, that is at feasibility stage. The estimate, if approved, becomes the authorized project budget, and it is what is now referred to as the cost limit. That is, this is a limit to which we must not go beyond. Whatsoever that comes along way on construction projects, even during the execution projects, it must not exceed that limit, that cost limit. So, simply speaking, cost limits can be therefore defined as the authorized amount of money for a particular project. Cost limit can be defined as the authorized project budget or authorized amount of money for a particular project at the feasibility stage. So you can add that one to it. It is important that you note that this takes place at the feasibility stage of the project. Then we move from there to outline proposal, wherein the architect prepare something like a sketch plan, just an outline drawing of how the building is going to look like. Then from there we move to at this stage, an initial cost plan will be prepared. Cost plan is simply an indication, or let me say, summary of how the cost limit will be distributed over different parts of the building project. For instance, now, maybe we look at substructure, a certain amount will be allocated to it. We talk about frame and upper floor, that's if it's a story building. A certain amount will be allocated to it. We talk about walls itself, block work and some other item. A certain amount will be allocated to it. So we talk about roof, a certain amount will be allocated. So cost plan is simply a summary of how the sum of money, which is cost limit, will be distributed over the entire building project. So the amount that is allocated to each section of the building, each element of the building is what is referred to as cost target. I hope you get my point. Now, we've been able to understand what cost limit is as the approved project budgets. Then we've also been able to actually understand what cost plan means. Then cost target is the amount that is actually allocated to elements of the building in the cost plan. That is, each amount that is allocated to each section of the building in the cost plan is what we call cost target. I hope you get that. So simply speaking, we've been able to define what cost limit is, what cost plan is, and what cost target is. So that's all about cost plan. So I think I come from cost plan to actually be able to define these three terms. So at outline proposal, like I was saying, it's when the initial cost plan is prepared. So then at schemes design, at that stage, the initial cost plan can then be formalized, be updated, and at the same time be formalized. Then at detailed design stage, what happened there is that the design, as the design is developed over time from initial proposal to scheme design to detailed design, the cost is checked against the cost plan. That is, what happened is that this cost plan, one of the things it does is that it provides the basis for which we check if we are not exceeding, we are not going beyond the limits that has been given as what the client can afford for the construction project. So that's what happened at the detailed design. At the detailed design stage, the final cost checking is done, because as the design develop, actually the QS will be checking the cost, the design against what we have, against the cost plan. But at the detailed design stage is when the final cost checking is done to make sure that the final design does not go beyond the cost plan, the cost limits that we have. So therefore, let me quickly go through some stuff here. At the inception stage of the project, the building client will need an indication of how much the project is likely to cost to assess the overall visibility of the project. This cost estimate, when approved, like I said, becomes the approved project budget and is often described as a cost limit. It sets the cost parameter within which the design team must operate. Then, further development of the scheme design enable a cost plan to be prepared. Like I said, at this stage, at the outline proposal stage, when the outline design is presented, then the QS can therefore prepare a cost plan which settle detailed cost targets for each part of the building and ensure that the budget is balanced between different parts of the project. So that's the essence of cost plan. It provides the cost target against each part of the building and ensure that the budget is actually balanced over different parts of the project. So this plan, that is the cost plan, will act as a guideline for cost checking, like I said. So just what I've explained before, we act as a guideline, the cost plan will act as a guideline for cost checking the final design to ensure that the targets are not exceeded before the project is sent out for tender. So during the tender period, the QS now often prices, so don't let us go into that. So, but basically, give more light rather to what I've explained from inception to detailed design. Then what happened at production information stage is that the detailed design, like the specification, the schedule, all those ones are actually prepared to actually get ready for tender action. Then after the detailed design have been the production information, all the necessary information like the schedule and specification, like I said, then the QS can now prepare a bill of quantity. Then after the preparation of the bill of quantity, the QS will also on his own part price the bill while he sent out the tender documents out to the contractor who will be willing, that is willing to actually tender for the project. Then from there, the contract can be awarded to the competent contractor. So that's all about cost planning. So cost planning, simply speaking, is a process, if I may say, of precosting, which attempt to present the total picture of the anticipated cost in a way which provide a clear statement of issues and isolate stages of work. Like I said, you talk about cost planning in relation to stages of work and the relative cost, so as to provide a guide to decision making. So cost planning is very essential to the overall cost control of a project, because it's during the stage that we actually determine what happens to the entire project. So it's very, very important to the overall cost control of the project. So effective cost planning will help ensure that once a realistic estimate is agreed between the parties, that is between the contractor and the client, everything that follow is in accordance with it. That is, cost planning will ensure that we don't go beyond, that is, the design, everything does not go beyond the cost limit that have been set by the clients and also the professional. So cost planning, effective cost planning will ensure that we don't go beyond that limit. So that's where we'll be wrapping it up today as far as construction economics class is concerned. So in our next class, I will continue, but today I believe we've been able to, as a form of summary and in conclusion, I believe we've been able to touch some things today. Today we've been able to look into some topics. We've been able to look at economics and its application as far as construction is concerned. So we bring about the principle of economics to construction project, and like I said, that's what we call construction economics. And also we look at the nature of construction industry, where we talk about the activities, the physical products of construction industry, which are buildings, road, bridges, dams, and when it comes to heavy engineering works, we talk about the sugar plants, we talk about processing plants, the nuclear plants too. So we talk about all that as products, physical products of construction projects. Then we also look at some features of construction projects, construction in industry rather, such as the fact that construction project is a one-off thing, that even the one that seems to have the same prototype, sometimes location could make the difference. So it's a one-off construction project, is a one-off thing. And also we look at the fact that construction project is capital intensive, is time intensive, and so then also is construction project could sometimes, or let me say most of the time, is complex. It's complex. So we look at those features, then from there we go into cost control. The fact that application of construction economics, if I may say. So we look at the application of construction economics to construction projects, where we talk about cost control, and we are able to differentiate between cost control, cost planning, cost monitoring, cost reconciliation, and we are also able to define some terms such as cost plan, cost limits, and also cost target. So I believe I've been able to help you out, and I believe I've been able to also pass some knowledge across to you. So we meet next week Saturday again. And before I go, next week Saturday we will be looking into some other topics. Like I told you that at feasibility stage of a construction project, the QS produce the first realistic estimate. The question now is that how does he go about it? He go about it by a principle called approximate estimating. So next week we'll be looking at that approximate estimating. That is, we look at approximate estimating proper, the way we look at cost planning procedure in general today. We look at approximate estimating, and also we will have to look at in actually being able to actually fulfill our role as a QS at this stage, we will also look at what we call capital budgeting. Or let me say, yeah, we look at what we call capital budgeting, or we look at what we call what in sometimes can be defined as investment appraisal. Let me put it that way: investment appraisal or capital budgeting. Now, this is essential in the sense that at the feasibility stage, where the clients, in some cases, we have to provide some alternative in a situation whereby there is a need for alternative to what the client actually have in mind, the kind of project the client actually have in mind. So therefore, at this stage, we have to prepare what we call capital budgeting. And what capital budgeting does is that it actually helps us to weigh different options. If client want have design A, B, C, so that is we have option A, B, C, wherein the client can invest his money on. So therefore, with capital budgeting, we'll be able to actually weigh, should we go for this option or this option or this option? So all this take place at feasibility stage. So it takes place at feasibility. So next week, we might actually also now look into that next week. So those are the things we are going to do next week. Those are the things we are going to do next week. So then next week, if possible, I might also be able to show us a typical cost plan, and I believe by the time we meet next week, I will have been able to provide us with a link to actually look into some of the things to have a document for some of the things I've talked about today. So then, in our class, as we go on further, we look at factors that affect cost of construction. That's when we'll be talking about design variables, constructional method, and other factors that affect construction, the cost of construction projects, which are maybe something like legal issue and the likes of them. So we will look at that as we go on further in our construction economics. But like I said, this I won't be taking you only on construction economics. We have other courses too that you might want me to actually look into, like professional practice and procedure, valuation and final account procedure, construction management, and the likes of them. So, but I will see how we can go about this. If possible, I should go. So, if possible, I can work on some modalities to see how I can actually be able to begin to go into some other courses without limiting myself to construction economics alone. So, all this will be done as we progress in the class. So, I want to give you this out in summary. I titled this type of cost advice at different stages of construction of project development cycle. I come again. Type of cost advice at different stages of project development cycle. So it's like a form of summary to everything I've said as far as the stages of construction project is concerned, up to not only up to tender stage but throughout the project life cycle. So then it shows the responsibility, in a way it shows the responsibility or what is expected of a quantity surveyor. Now at inception / feasibility stage, the cost advice that is expected of a QS at this stage is budget establishment. That is establishing the budget for the project in question. Then second thing under that inception feasibility stage that is expected of a QS is preliminary estimate and cost advice. Preliminary estimate and cost advice. Then also at the same stage we have option appraisal, like I said, under that's when we talk about capital budgeting. So we have option appraisal, that is, which is also known as cost of preferred solution. Then the next stage is the typical design stage, when we talk about outline, proposal, scheme design, and detailed design. So the cost advice that is required of a quantity surveyor at this stage is preparation of initial cost plan. 2, upgrading initial cost plan to formal cost plan. 3, cost checking detailed design against the cost plan. Cost checking design against the cost plan. Then 4, advice on contractual method and tendering procedure. At this stage, the QS will have been looking. At this design stage, this 3 design stage, the QS will have been looking at how to the contractual method to employ for the particular the project in question. So that's on the design stage. Then the cost advice at the tender stage that is required of a quantity surveyor is preparation of bill of quantity and tender code documents. Then that's at the tender and pre-construction stage. Then obtaining and appraising of the appraisal of tenders. Then advice on selection of contractor. That's the cost advice required under tender slash pre-construction stage. Then at the construction stage, the cost advice required of a quantity surveyor is interim valuation, or let me say the role of a quantity surveyor this time around, not only cost advice, the role of a quantity surveyor is preparation of interim valuation and payment, evaluation of variation and change control task, preparation of financial statement, claim management, dispute resolution, and technical auditing. Then at the project closeout and handing over or the use stage, preparation of final accounts, assessment of building replacements, value for insurance. So that's where we'll be calling it a day today. So thank you and hope to see you next week. God bless you. Hope to see you next week. Enjoy your weekend. Hope to see you next week and enjoy your weekend. Thank you.